Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast show for the Average Joe. This is the Wrestling Diaries. I'm your host, Mitchell Roulaine. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Go to YouTube for the video content. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell up there, wherever my finger is pointing. I don't know whether he's going to put it in there at some point. This is the show where we have like people from everyday society, just regular people, right? Average Joes. Not that people are like average per se, right? Because everybody's special. But we find other things that they wrestle with and they struggle with because, you know, the majority of regular people make up most of society. And that's very, very important to find out what they're struggling with, right? Because we pay the bills, so to speak. You guys ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, the Wrestling Diaries proudly brings to you its Tag Team Champions of the World! Mitchell, the legend, the myth, Roulaine, and Scotty Too Hottie with a naughty body, Lowery, the Sam's Club Outlaws. Did you like that, Scott?
That was pretty spot on. I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting such an introduction.
Oh my gosh, I like thought about doing that just for you, man, just for the wrestling stuff.
Took me back. Way back.
For anybody wondering, Scott is he's probably, not probably, he is my work BFF of all time. Like all the jobs I've ever had, this guy would be my BFF. And then outside of that, he's just a really good, really close friend, old time friend. And we used to work at Sam's Club, good old Sam's Club in Hoover. We actually had another person that was on here, Mr. Alonzo Taylor. When you listen to this episode, shout out, Alonzo.
My boy.
My boy. Scott, it's good having you on the show today.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So, we were talking earlier, like you originally did not want to do the show, or not, maybe not want, it just wasn't your thing.
Right.
And then you actually watched the episode with Alonzo.
Correct.
And tell us about why that got you warmed up to being on the show with me today.
Yeah, man. So, just like I told you off camera, I guess I don't know what my mindset was on it originally, but watching you guys, or listening to you guys rather, everything just came off very organic, very natural. Didn't even feel like I was listening to a podcast. It was like I had a secret window into somebody's phone conversation that dialed you or something like that. Yeah. And just really thought it was, very natural, like I said. And like, man, I could get with that.
Yeah, that's what I try to do or promote, is the fact, because people, they're like, I mean, technically, I'm not like, I'm interviewing you, but I'm not really interviewing you, right? Like, I'm just a very, by nature, curious person. And I like to know what makes people tick, just because I'm curious. It's like psychological currency. Like, I'm like, oh, this is what this person does. So I ask so many questions like a kid. But yeah, the show isn't like, it's not really an interview show. It's just like a free form conversation recorded for people to listen to. Yeah. And then, I put my gimmick is like the Wrestling Diaries. Like, what is you wrestling with? And then somebody just goes into that. But that's about it. I had a guy that was on the show who's actually like a legitimate, like, he has a talk show up in Coleman. And it's kind of like, he's not on the news, but it's like the news. It's like Good Day Alabama. So he has that, and he has like people from the town on there, like the mayor, the sheriff, and stuff like that. And he wanted to be on the show. He'd never had an interview or been on the show or whatever. And so he does his job like for like a living or whatever. He's an actual like talk show personality.
Very nice.
And he was like, yeah, man, your show, what I like about it is it's very raw. It's like by the bootstraps, right. It's not like, you don't have like an iPad with these questions on here or whatever. You just kind of like, it's just very natural. And he's like, I feel like people respond really well to that. And I took that as a huge compliment, because that guy is like a professional, more or less.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for the compliment,
hey,
dude.
You earned it.
So Scotty Too Hottie with a naughty body, my tag team partner, he brought us, what is this? Victory Sour Monkey Sour Tripel. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Tripel. Where'd you get this at, dude?
That was actually out of one of my accounts. Victory Brewery is actually out of Pennsylvania.
Nice. Matt, we got to open this at the same time. Scott was going to drink with me.
All right. I got it.
But Matt's about to open this because I don't drink alone. Here we go. And, oh, you like that sound, ladies and gents? Let's see what this tastes like.
Tastes like a sour monkey.
Ooh, how would you know?
Anyways.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh, you're good, man.
So Scott, tell us what you do, man. What's your profession? I know what you do, obviously, but people listening.
Absolutely. So for the last 2 years, I've been working for a company out of Alabaster, Alabama, called International Wine and Craft Beer. Started out as a merchandiser for other sales representatives in the company all through the Birmingham area. And then after about, 6 months in, they promoted me to a sales route of my own. Ran from my hometown of Gardendale, Alabama, all the way up to Coleman and Arab. And yeah, quite a drive. And then a little bit after that, they pulled me out of Coleman and Arab and gave me a small pizza slice of Birmingham.
Pizza slice.
Yeah. And let me keep what I was already doing as far as Gardendale up to Warrior and Hayden and stuff like that.
Did you like getting, the district of Birmingham, better than what you were already doing?
Yes and no. Whenever you go into something new, obviously there's resistance. Just because of us as human beings, we don't like change, obviously.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I am one of those. I'm one of those that spearheads that department. But I was worried about traffic a lot. I didn't want to get involved in the Birmingham traffic at all because you drive to Coleman and Arab at certain times. Literally no traffic. Birmingham has that preconceived notion that if you go at a certain time of day, you're gonna pulling your hair out.
Yeah.
And it just really wasn't like that. It never got like that. And it's such a small slice that it's, it still gives me an opportunity to learn what I'm doing and better communicate with folks.
It's funny, Arab. I don't know if people
Don't get me started.
So I used to do merchandising similar to what you're doing. It was for a skincare company, but I was working as a rep.
Okay.
So I was contracting, I wasn't an actual employee. I had a 1099.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyways, one of my displays that I had to put up was an Arab, and I never, up to that point, I was like, wait, is this correct? I called my my team leader, whatever he was. I was like, hey, is there a typo on this? Is this he was like, no, it's Arab. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I didn't know it existed either, man. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go out there, and there's just I hope anybody from Arab doesn't listen.
That's what I was thinking. I'm I need to retract that. It's not necessarily a dig at them. It's just the length that it takes to get there with no interstate system.
Yeah.
It's back road, left, right. And you're like, wow, that's been 60 plus miles to get here. And you're only there for maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's not, forgive me for saying, but it's not that big of a demanding area where you
I
have to
can't
spend a lot
imagine
of
why.
time. Yeah. Well, it's just, small town.
You're talking about geography. I'm talking about populace.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, for the record, and then I'll move on from this topic, that there's a different kind of human that lives out in Arab. Those Arabians, I'll tell you. When I went out there, I was like, okay, there's a different type of human that lives out here. That's all I'm going to say. Nice people. Moving on. Roll Tide. Anyways, so you and me worked together at Sam's Club. I was saying earlier at the start of the show.
Right.
How many years were we?
No, I was there from 04, April Fool's Day, actually, in 04 till 17 or 18. Probably say it was 18. I always get my years confused because they're quite a blur nowadays,
Yeah. Can you imagine if on the day where they tell you get the job or not, it's on April Fool's, and they're like, oh, you didn't get the job.
Goodness.
Sorry. You come in with your smock or whatever, and they're like, oh, sorry, actually, we weren't going to hire you after all. And
JK, we're JKing you.
And you're like, I can't, and you're walking out the door oh, no, we're just April Fools.
Absolutely. Nah, but
yeah, I started in 05. So
I was thinking you weren't too far behind me because I remember it was you, and then I remember Rod came along shortly after that, probably in 05 or 06. That's when Daryl and Jonathan came aboard, and I think Ladarius was 05 or 06 as well.
Yeah. And then, I started out pushing carts.
Yeah, I think that's where Ladarius was, too.
Yeah, he was. And then I went
It was quite the all-star crew out there. I remember Jonathan, Big John was out there, too.
He sure was.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I came in and started working groceries with you.
Yeah,
there was
Freezer Cooler.
Yeah, you.
Lucky dog.
Hunter and Ron
I forget about Hunter.
Hunter was awesome.
Hunter was the man.
Yeah, he was really cool. But Ron Spool, do you remember him?
Sproul.
Is it Sproul or Spool?
Sproul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Ron Spool is the fictional character that you made up, Matt.
Based on real events.
So Matt made up this fictional character that's this pirate whose name
he could have been a pirate.
His name is Buccaneer Ron Spool, and he forgets everything. He's like, oh, welcome to the seven seas, and my ship is, I don't know where I parked it, or something. But yeah, that guy. I looked him up not too long ago on Facebook, and he's like living in Tennessee. He has a wife. He's got a couple kids.
I was thinking that it was Tennessee that was where he was from.
He still looks exactly the same.
Hey, that ain't a bad thing, you know.
What if
15, 20 years later?
What if his kids are like, "Hey, Dad, can I need like $10 to go to the fair?" And then he's like, and he just walks off, and he doesn't even answer them. He's like, and they're like, "Dad, what about the $10?" He's like, "Oh, right, yeah, okay, here, sorry." Good old Sam's Club. Why did you end up leaving Sam's, bro?
Oh man, it was really a handful of things. You know, as all companies do, they change things up. Some for the good, some for the bad. You know, this was probably a year or two after my dad had passed, so change was in the air big time then. So they came to us one day when they were like, you know, we're condensing receiving down from 3 full-time people in receiving, a full-time associate in claims and a part-time associate in claims to just 3 people overall to run the whole thing.
Yeah.
So they weren't really classifying them as separate entities anymore. It was going to be one thing, and it was going to be 2 full-timers and a part-time. And, you know, I was very confident that I would at least have a good interview, number one, and number 2, be considered. But I was already working another part-time job selling home cleaning systems for a company called Extreme Air Solutions, which I was very interested in by that time. Just enjoyed it. It was really my first.
Yeah, your sales rep.
Yeah, it was my first attempt in sales world. So, I just really wanted to give that a good stab. And I figured what they were going to pay me to leave. I was like, well, I've got 6 months to try this out full time. If I don't like it, I can always keep doing it part time. I'm not going to lose anything by taking this chance. And I remember my dad always telling me, if you're going to try something new, you need to try it while you're young. You don't need to get to where you're 45 to 55 and then be like, well, it's time for a career change.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
I mean, you do need to take risk when you're young to some degree. And I feel like, with him gone, he would automatically tried to talk me out of it because he was very, he was very stable once he cut meat for about 25 years.
Yeah,
so
he was very dedicated to Sam's. And
let's not go that far. He was dedicated to his job. He cut it a lot of different places, but not so much dedicated to Sam's.
Yeah,
just like all of us, there were highs and lows.
Yeah, I guess it was just like he was just in that trap everybody was in. Right? Consistency, the consistent pay.
Yeah,
it's what
not even so much a trap. I don't think. I just think you get very comfortable with what you're doing sometimes, and you sometimes even like we've talked about. I remember you telling me specifically, I stayed there too long. I stayed there way too long, and dude, you were only there like. You weren't there in all
5 years.
Yeah, you really weren't there that long.
Yeah,
if you think about it. But to you, 5 years was a long time,
and that's a decade.
Yeah, and that's perfectly validated.
Yeah, I still have that plaque. I think I have that plaque. It's like smashed somewhere in like a closet somewhere.
If you don't, it's cool.
I remember getting that, and then that was the same year. Like I didn't make it to 6 years. I got myself fired before. Yeah. I was like, just 5 years. I remember looking at that plaque when they called me up to the office and like, hey, congratulations. And they made a big deal about it and they gave me this plaque. And I was like, do I get money? If I don't get money, I don't care about this. And I was looking at it.
Y'all could have not gave me this plaque and gave me $100 and we would have been a lot better off.
I would have felt more proud about that.
Absolutely.
But I'm looking at this plaque and I'll never forget the feeling that like billowed up inside of me. I was like, you think you'd be like, oh, cool. An accomplishment, right? Because it's 5 years at a place, et cetera, et cetera. But I looked at it in disdain. I was like, I've been here for this long. What the hell am I doing?
Absolutely.
And it was disgusting. I didn't put it up on my wall. I threw it in a box somewhere and it just,
collected dust.
Broke and it's still there. Just, I don't know. I haven't.
Something cool to look back on one day. And
sure.
Maybe.
Well, it's really just because I like it's buried in like storage and I don't know where it's at to just throw it away.
There you go.
Really why. Not anything against Sam's for people that have done it.
Absolutely not. I mean, you got to think, man, we grew up in there pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
There was a little bit of...
I was a teenager when I started working
18 to... God, I think I was 30... 31. So that's a lot of years. I think I had 13, so I might have just been turning 32 or... whatnot, but God, you got to think a lot of patience they put up with me over that time. I mean, it wasn't all just, well, this place is, holding me back or something. It's like, man, y'all put up with a lot on my end too, for sure.
Oh yeah, we were both sassy, man.
To say the least.
Yeah,
say the least.
Like we would just say, like, if we were displeased, we would just like, I would just tell people, man. That's probably why they didn't like me, just because I was always
and torment a few people along the way as well.
All the time. Dude, tag team champions of the world, right here, Sam's Club Outlaws. I said it.
The gimmick precedes itself.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that in the outro of this video. I'm gonna do the ladies and gentlemen thing all over again, just for celebration.
There you go.
We were good, man. You and me, BFFs there, kicking ass, doing our thing.
Yeah.
Like getting on the radios, being like, oh, there's a hot chick on aisle 5. Remember that?
Being young and dumb. What can we say?
Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really great memories, and I met like, a lot of cool people. I still have friends, like you, for example, Alonzo, and a handful of other people. So yeah, there's a lot of good takeaways from that place. It just,
I believe so.
You know, I let myself get trapped in it and not try to like find something better for my life. And you know, you're young and you don't know what you want to do in life. It's kind of thing that happens.
Yeah, and there's some people who are still there that once again they got comfortable with it and they're okay with that. They're not in that I got comfortable and now I want to do something, but I don't. They're like, it is what it is, and they're comfortable with it.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, God bless them.
That's absolutely fine.
But for people that, and anybody even listening to this, if you're like working like just a general like job like that, like retail, for example, like what we're talking about, which is like a big bulk of the American population,
it's not gonna go.
If you like don't like what you're doing to where like just going to work is painful, then quit. Just leave. And don't worry, like you'd be like, oh, what am I gonna do for bills? Well, figure it out. Like you don't live in like North Korea or whatever. You're in the United States of America. There's lots of opportunities, lots of jobs, lots of money, lots of stuff. So just leave, because don't make yourself miserable. It's not worth your health. It's really not.
The tail end of that I agree with.
Yeah. It's not worth your psychological health and your emotional health and all that stuff to be.
That I agree with as well.
You know, you're just bathing in like this metaphoric acid every day.
So extreme.
Not to get so deep about it, but. So you liked Alonzo's episode, huh?
I did, man. I really did.
Did you learn anything about Zoe that you didn't know prior from him?
Just about playing football in high school. I don't think me and him ever got on, him being young and stuff. Obviously we talk about football, just casual stuff. But yeah, man, it's just good to know he's doing good and, taking care of himself, just thinks
he looks good. He looks
that's
really good.
I'm glad to hear that. I didn't get to see the video of you guys, but
you listen to the audio. Okay.
Yeah,
he looks really. If you ever get a chance to just take a gander at the video, he looks good.
Cool.
He looks healthy. He still basically looks the same Alonzo that we knew from
a decade
ago or whatever.
I'm glad. He was one of my favorite people to work with too. Just
same here.
Like he said, even just talking about his legacy and what he hopes to leave. Like you already get that vibe from him. That's already just natural to him.
Yeah.
Easy to talk to, just cares. Very caring guy.
Plus he's a good worker. I liked working with him.
Absolutely.
He carried his weight, and then he's great to talk to. We talk about sports and life and different things like that. He's a real smart guy.
That's it.
If you're listening to this, Alonzo, we're just stroking your ego, man. So you can feel good about yourself. It's like, oh, they're talking good about me. Let me stroke myself. Oh my gosh. So, Scotty, the job you do now, I guess your official title would be like I
work for a sales distributor.
So you're
a wine distributor. Yeah.
So then you're kind of like a contractor, sort of like a pseudo contractor.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get like discounts on like a product, alcohol, wine, beer, etc.? Because I know you got this from your job. Right?
Yeah. That was just something I actually bought out.
Okay.
Straight up. There was a damaged can in that 6-pack, and so we have what they call an Expensify account for the month. And one's damaged. Sometimes you don't want to get that one sent back. I mean, it's not like they wouldn't take it back or anything, but it's like I could take that. Number one, I could use it for an account that doesn't currently have that particular beer.
Yeah.
And number two, if I don't find any other places that it fits the mold at, I can share them with you guys, or bring them home and drink them myself.
Nice.
But yeah, you definitely want to try to use that as a tool to make money. If you've got, one busted you throw away, that means you got 5 others for an opportunity. 3 may be to another account and 2 may be for your friends. So
nice. That's awesome. Pull that mic just a little bit closer.
Sure.
If you don't mind. Yeah. So what do you think, are you going to end up on this? Is this like your general career path? Or are you just kind of doing it as time goes on? Like how do you feel personally about the thing that you're doing now? Like
I enjoy it. There's a lot of freedom in it.
Yeah. Do you have like a company vehicle you use?
That is the only thing.
Setback.
That is the only thing on my wish list as far as this job goes. Is that there was a company vehicle. You see, like the beer guys that work for like Bud Light and all that stuff.
Or the trucks.
Or no, they have like the little mini compact cars.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, like the little white small cars with stickers on them. I'm like, oh, I'm jealous of y'all. That's really the only thing I'm like on my wish list that I want.
But you get like a mileage, gas reimbursement or whatever?
You can write it off on your taxes, yes.
Okay,
And I don't know how everybody else at the company does that or doesn't do it, but I keep a log. I want something to turn in on my taxes. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, you keep your receipts and give it to your tax professional. Or just put it in when you're doing your own taxes.
We get an Expensify, so that part's taken care of, but the mileage, I keep on personal log on that. So
nice.
Yeah. Last year I drove a lot, so I'm hoping this year it's not as many miles just because of the personal vehicle issue.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I like it. I like the freedom it provides. You really only get called by your bosses if something is wrong or if something is needing to be taken care of in a timely fashion. Other than that, you don't hear too much from them, which is great. I like the freedom of it. Yeah, do a good job, fly under the radar, do a bad job, bring it to the surface type deal.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool, dude. I mean, here's the thing too. Real quick for people listening, because I like this podcast got put I don't know how the algorithm came out, but like they put us on like self-help or I don't know what it was. I think it's self-help on like iTunes. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And because I guess it's probably because I talk a lot about people chasing their dreams and being entrepreneurs and following like whatever, or building your own business and all this stuff. But with me saying this, like this is just for me and for other people that relates to. Like if you work for a company or for a person or for whatever, and you like it and you make good money and you feel free, like you obviously, then do that. Like my whole point is not to become an entrepreneur. It's not to be self-made or make your own money. My point is to do what makes you happy. So iTunes, if you listen to this, like what is this self-help? But appreciate it though, iTunes. But yeah, that's the message that I usually try to pour out to people. Just do whatever you want to do. And so for so long, I was doing the opposite of that. I was doing what I felt like I needed to do, or what people expected me to do, like what my mom expected, or what, like my friends, my family members. And like then I finally got to a point, and I hate that I realized it, in my adulthood. I wish I kind of had it when I was a kid, but like I don't know, I just didn't have like, I don't know, more inspiration, more of an environment to kind of flourish those ideas. But you sound really happy about what you do, man.
Hey man, I'm not griping about it. Anybody's listening from work, whatever. Some days you sleep in, some days you're up before everybody. And that's okay. I think with them, they want you to get it done in a timely fashion. Obviously, get it done as early as possible. But some days, man, you do in fact like to sleep in, cook breakfast, do a little reading, and then go to work.
Yeah.
And some days you like to do completely the opposite and be home before grade school kids get out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
what's your general schedule look like overall?
Usually I don't really work 8 hours a day.
Okay.
Which is excellent. Some days I'm actually home for lunch if I choose to make that happen. The other day I think it was either the first or second day of fall, and great breeze going on outside. I looked at my watch, so to speak, and I said, got time to go home for a cup of coffee.
Nice.
I'm going to enjoy that.
And you get weekends off, right?
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah. Didn't when I first came into the company, but you're still, trying to lay your claim, so to speak.
Now, since you are working for a company that distributes the devil's brew, alcohol, have you found yourself becoming more of a wine or beer snob about that? Like,
well,
because
to be fair, I've been a craft beer snob since about 2012.
Okay.
When I lived in Hoover for a couple of years, my roommate, he was already big into IPAs. So, you live together, good or bad, stuff rubs off. And always just started drinking them from then on out, finding, my palate on that stuff.
Yeah.
Never drank wine a day in my life until I came aboard with this company.
Okay.
So, once again, trying to find what I like. I realize I actually like wine.
It's good.
It's good.
Also, I feel like it's a quicker way to get you to where you're going, right? Like you have one glass of wine
right
versus one beer. Like you get, if you know what I mean, like you get to where you're going a lot quicker because like your body's not processing all those other additives from the beer. It's just straight into the bloodstream.
Right.
And you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey.
The elegant drunk.
Like I said, man, I've enjoyed it so far. I mean, I don't have a bottle every weekend or nothing like that. It's very seldom that I do drink, but when I do, I try to drink something from our portfolio.
Nice.
So I can at least, I drank this bottle. I drink half this bottle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, go do a little research on that besides what I already know and then see how I can tie that into places that I'm already going.
Yeah.
Be helpful on my end.
Do you have like a favorite wine that you like, a Merlot or a Cab or anything specifically that you gravitate towards?
Right now, I'm just trying to get acquainted with the Cabs on my personal delight end. Went to, it's probably been a number of months. Probably back in the spring, I went to, I think it was Perry's at the Summit, or is it Fleming's?
I think it's Fleming's. I think Perry is in Birmingham, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you might be right
Perry
there.
Steakhouse. Yeah.
Anywho, steakhouse at the Summit. We'll go with that.
Delicious steak.
Yeah,
both
it
places,
really was.
Both places, Fleming's and Perry's. Jesus Christ.
So I had a bottle of Quilt over there, Quilt Cabernet, and that was probably up to date the best bottle of wine I've drank. It's probably about a $45 bottle.
Ooh.
Really good. Really good
Sounds
stuff.
good. What'd you have it with? What were you eating?
It was a steak. What was it? Steak and greens.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good, man.
What kind of steaks did you get? I'm a steak connoisseur.
Just a medium rare.
Medium rare.
Yeah.
My boy.
I used to not even eat them that red. Used to be medium well when I was younger. And then you get a little older, you can kind of enjoy that a little more.
I mean, you can essentially eat like raw beef and be fine. Not that I'm promoting to do that because it probably for me would be disgusting. But yeah, I do about a medium. Every once in a while, medium well. Depends on where I'm at, how I'm feeling. The medium's real good. Keeps it tender and juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they got one of the best as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I've always been. When I worked at Sam's Club, everybody used to call me the human garbage disposal.
Right.
So
you eat a bunch.
Yeah, and I eat fast. But I'm telling you, sometimes when you get a steak like the ones they make, I'm cutting slow.
Oh yeah, dude, you got to savor.
I'm cutting slow. I'm cutting small, and I'm savoring, and it's just
hell yeah.
It's unbelievable.
God, I love a good steak. I love a good wine or a good beer with it.
Yeah,
and just maybe a potato, a little vegetables. Woo! Let's go.
Screaming.
Let's do it. So what else is going on with your life, man? Besides working the wine and beer industry, doing all that stuff, getting around. What else are you doing, man? Outside? What are your extracurriculars?
Man, honestly, over the summer, just been trying to take better physical care of myself.
How so?
As we're influenced by the internet a lot in this generation, I guess it was back in July, maybe a little bit before, actually, probably in June. I'd read this article online about somebody seeing something about drinking more water. And I think me and you talked about that briefly last time we got together. And they were talking about a gallon challenge a day. I'm thinking, God, that sounds unrealistic almost. But I read the article and I was just very enthusiastic while I was reading. I was like, man, that seems so cool. And like all the benefits that this individual was describing, I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm about to go to Walmart and grab me one of those crystal 89-cent jugs, and I'm about to go on my own little journey with this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And since then, I've committed to drinking at least a half a gallon a day.
Okay.
And then on some days, I get to that, the peak, and I get a gallon in.
Wow.
So I drink about a 16-ounce cup, glass, whatever you have, about every 2 hours, and I have some kind of snack in my lunchbox because I'm on the road, so I really don't like to stop for stuff.
Yeah,
spend unnecessary money. It's like when we worked together. That vending machine was the biggest curse that ever lived.
Dude, I was all over the Chef Boyardee spaghettis and meatballs. Woo.
Yeah,
all the time. Too bad, man. Spending too much money on that crap.
Yeah, but since I've done that though, I've really noticed. Like, number one, obviously, I go to the bathroom a lot. That's goes without saying, but I said it. But honestly, it makes you feel more clear-minded when you actually get on that rotation of drinking a glass every 2 hours.
You're flushing your body out.
Yeah, absolutely. It. Consistently, too. Not just, we're doing this every couple of days, like every day.
Yeah.
And it's just been great, and even got a little more dedicated in my workouts with it, and even noticed as I was getting back on the workout trail, so to speak, that you could see everything coming in a little bit more defined than before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, this can't just be because of the workouts. Because let's face it, we all go through periods where we're like, fitness this, fitness that, and you'll see results if you're doing right. But this was just, I saw myself physically in a different way, and I'm like, that has to be a testament to the water.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So ever since then, I've just been like, well, either when you're working out or not, stay on this water thing, and that will probably help you overall. So I've committed to it, and I've really stayed the course on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the American Medical Health Journal says that you're supposed to drink like
half your body weight
in ounces. So essentially, if you're 100 pounds, you drink 50 ounces of water per day.
That's it.
And I mean, that's what the body. I mean, because your body's made up of like 70% water.
That's it.
Yeah, that's good. And piggybacking on what you're talking about with the health of like drinking water and stuff, my brother, some time ago, probably a couple years ago, I hadn't seen him in a while. We don't keep up with each other that much, but I hadn't seen him in, I don't know, maybe half a year or so. And I saw him, I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And I was like, whoa, dude, you look really different. Did you dieting? Like, cause my brother's kind of heavy set.
I remember you telling me the story off record.
And he looked more trim. And I was like, dude, you look like you've lost weight, man. Like, what's up? And he's like, oh yeah, I just drink water now. Because for anybody that doesn't know my brother, obviously he huge Mountain Dew connoisseur. He would literally walk around with like a 2-liter Mountain Dew, and then he drinks sweet tea and orange juice and just like whatever, but mostly Mountain Dew, sweet tea, and just different stuff like that. Barely any water. But he had went on vacation with his family, and his wife had the pictures, and he was looking at himself, and he hadn't seen himself in a picture in like, I don't know how many years. And he saw himself, and he was like, oh my gosh, this is what I look like?
Right.
I'm fat as hell. That's what he said. And he was like, oh, and then his wife was like, no, you're not, honey, you're beautiful. And he was like, no, he's like, oh my God, I got to do something about this. And so he wasn't willing to give up his diet where he just eats whatever, junk food, fast food, and all that stuff. So he's telling me, he was like, yeah, he's like, all I did was switch to water. And I was like, oh, you're not dying? He was like, no, he's like, man, I still eat like but like I just drink water.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I lost like 27 pounds.
That's a good start, man.
27 pounds.
Yeah.
He still eats like crap, junk food and all that stuff, but he just drinks water. No more teas and Mountain Dews and all that stuff. And he lost 27 pounds.
Cool thing about stuff like that, though, is a lot of people knows when you make one good decision like that, something else is likely to follow.
Yeah.
Sometime down the road. I'm not saying, specific timeline, but if you make one positive change, it's so much easier to make a second positive change after that somewhere.
Yeah. I have a book at home called 1 Degree of Change. And it talks about the concept of like, if you just change 1% of something you're doing in your life, that 1% can turn into 2%, turns into 10%, turns into 20, 100, and then you're like living a completely different, better life. And it uses the analogy of like how the instruments in airplanes are. Like if the pilots are off by 1 degree, that could be the difference between them being in Albuquerque or like Canada. There's just like 1 degree of difference. And yeah, so like if you can just change like one little thing, all he did, literally, he smokes too. He smokes cigarettes like a chimney.
Right.
And then he eats terrible. All he did was change the fact of what he drank, and he lost 27 pounds, and he looked better. He was more trim. And so it's crazy to think about that. So the moral of the story, folks, drink more water. Look at this, promoting good health tips on Wrestling Diaries. So what else is going on, man? What do you said you work out. What do you do? What are you working out?
Oh, man. So again, probably about 8 years ago, living in Hoover, friend of a friend who went to high school with me stopped by the house, or the apartment rather, and he was a truck driver at the time, so he didn't really have a lot of time to work out.
Yeah,
he was doing these DVDs or what have you not, called P90X.
Nice.
And
home fitness system.
Yeah, man. And I guess when he got done being a truck driver, he got in touch with my roommate at the time, and he was like, hey, I know you thought that was fascinating what he was doing at the time. He was trying to sell that little DVD set if you were interested in buying. I was like, I'm game. Let me get them.
Yeah.
And I bought them. I've used them because I was always somebody like I knew how to work out, but I didn't really have like a as they say on that, having a proper start and stop destination on it.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started watching those, I was like, okay, so I need about this many reps total for that to, in their world, obviously, doesn't mean it's correct or perfect or anything like that.
Sure.
But it had an actual stop point.
I think the tagline on that is like, do your best and forget the rest. Or
That's
something.
it, yeah.
I think I heard that on
You're
the
drinking the
infomercial.
Kool-Aid from Tony Horton.
The guy's ripped.
He is ripped.
Super ripped.
But yeah, I just thought that was really helpful. It's like, okay, you do between this many and this many, and that's a day's work.
Mhm.
And I started writing them down so I wouldn't have to break out the laptop to watch them on.
Right.
And I just wrote them on note cards, and it's about anywhere from 25 to 32 moves for a whole body part or whatever,
Yeah.
chest and back, what have you not. And I just do those. I repeatedly mix them up, and then I'll throw in some other stuff. It's just really good, man. It's just really simple stuff. It's nothing unorthodox, wild. They are just like a lot of places to work out. They have variations of stuff. That you can't do certain things. It's just really cool.
Yeah, and it uses it's mostly like body weight stuff, and then
Sure.
there's some free weight stuff.
Yeah, they have a lot of free weight stuff. They have like kickboxing stuff you can do without anything. You just
cardio.
Yeah, basically throwing
That's good,
punches and
dude.
kicks in the air.
Yeah, it's funny when I because I'll see a lot of people that I've known from my past, and you and me have kind of been on and off again with keeping up with each other.
Right.
Obviously, life, blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
we pick right back up.
But like so many people that I've known from back in the day that I knew then and I see now, they look way like they've definitely aged.
Sure.
I mean, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But like when I saw you, and many times I'm like, man, it's almost like Scott didn't skip a beat. And,
Yeah.
and you just stay healthy. That's good.
Yeah.
It's
Well, a lot of it attributes to. I know when you talk to certain people, life has happened with them.
Mhm.
Things change. But even when I was running hard, so to speak, staying out all night and partying and stuff like that, I still love to play basketball. I remember the first time I played tennis when I was 20, I was like, I was one of those people in high school that when I was like, tennis, that just seems so dorky.
Yeah.
And I wasn't exactly Mr. Cool or nothing, but
yeah.
I was just like, this just seems, for lack of a better term, below me.
Yeah, right.
I remember I started playing tennis. I'm like, light bulb
Yeah.
went off immediately. I said, I was wrong.
Yeah. It's intense.
This is awesome.
The first time I played it, I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe.
Yeah, it was great. And so
The
I've
cardio. What's going
over
on?
the last 10 years, I've found people here and there to play with.
Mhm.
One of them from about 2010 to 2012, and then he moved out of state or whatever. I made a good friend in 2015 who was very pro tennis.
Mhm.
He liked to play, so we play pretty regularly
Yeah.
at times.
Dude, I'll play with you.
Yeah, there you go.
But I mean, I'm just ghastly, horrible, terrible. Like it would literally, and I'm not even saying this, just blowing smoke. It would be like you playing against like a 6-year-old.
Maybe we'll start
you
with
play-
badminton and we'll work you up.
Yeah, we'll do badminton and then we'll like evolve to that.
Which I like that too, man. I just like doing stuff where you're active. I mean,
yeah.
I don't like golf because I'm awful at it.
Mhm.
I don't even really like going to Top Golf, if that tells you anything. Like that should be a fun
Yeah,
activity.
do a little putt putt.
Don't care for it. I mean, I'll go if there's a group going or something like that, but
Yeah.
you're never going to hear me strike up and be like, guys, why don't we go to Top Golf and play? I just, I'd rather do something else, but
Yeah, I gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, man. Let me know. I'll definitely
just
get
still
out
do
there.
all those same things that I used to do and try to incorporate some new stuff here and there.
Get out there and make a fool of myself on the
Hey.
court, the racket.
I'm here for it.
I lost, but I lost in honor.
You destroy the racket midway through. This stinks. I'm never coming back.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it down. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm not your friend anymore.
What
Scott.
is that guy? I can't remember how far back, but he used to destroy rackets. Was it McEnroe or somebody more recent?
I don't know, man.
Man,
I don't keep
he
up with
used to
tennis.
destroy some rackets. Like
Yeah.
just
So he's like the rock star of the
Yeah,
tennis
yeah.
the tennis world.
exactly.
Like they smash their guitars when they're done with their set, and so he's like, "Oh, I'm done with this, smashing this racket." But he's probably doing it because he's pissed, not because he's trying to just be a rebel.
Yeah.
Damn it! Can't believe this.
He's got money. He's got a replacement or two in the bag. You know this.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So Scotty, too hotty with a naughty body, Lowery. We
Nice
call it-
nickname.
Thank you. I made it up off the top of my
The
head.
additional part was the add-on.
Yeah. With the naughty
Heard
body.
Scotty too hotty for
Oh yeah,
way too long.
Of course you
almost.
have. Of course you have. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't have not did that because it's classic.
It is.
I had to
Kinda
go with
is.
that one. You know, I could have made up a new one, but
We'll work on it.
I like being myself.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Mr. Lowery, this is part of the show where I try to take my guests a little bit deeper and find out the things that they are struggling with because it's really good for people to hear about it because there's people out there dealing with the same things, and so many people too. They deal with stuff where they feel like they're alone, but they're really not.
Right.
And so I like to ask people. I like to try to take people deep and ask them what they wrestle with in life, man. So
Yeah.
what are you wrestling with currently in your life, or maybe it might not be currently. Maybe it's a lingering fight from some opponent in your life. What are the monsters under your bed and in your closet, bro, that you're struggling with?
Nice way of wording that.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Do they? Do they?
They don't.
All right. Gosh, I don't know. I guess it's a variety of stuff, man. Like when I was a teenager, I struggled with partying, or if you want to call it something else, a lot of drug use.
What do you mean you struggled with it though?
It's like the continuation of it.
Okay.
It lingered on probably past my adolescence.
Right. Too consistent with it. Too
too consistent, too hardcore. Completely opposite of now, where it's like, I want to take care of myself and preserve myself. And back then
Right.
it was throwing caution to the wind. Maybe I'm 3 sheets in the wind, whatever.
Yeah.
Just really doing my best to destroy myself then. And around me, many of my friends were destroying themselves too. And not just like with your Friday through Sunday type fun, like, physically addicting stuff.
Yeah. You've lost a couple friends because of that stuff, right? Addiction and stuff.
Lost a couple friends from some other stuff per se.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they really struggled hard with the physically addicting stuff. And I was one of the lucky people who I was more mentally addicted to a lot of things.
Right.
Than I was physically. When you start talking about opiates and stuff like that, some of those were their DOCs, drug of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I was more on the other end of the uppity side of things. And so I was more mentally like infatuated with it than I was physically infatuated. I mean, of course, everybody likes the good feeling of the stuff, or you wouldn't start doing it.
Right. Yeah.
But it was more like just thinking about it was almost as exhilarating as doing it.
Yeah.
So I still struggle with that part of it. Like, drugs have changed a lot since 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, cocaine is no longer cocaine. Could be laced with fentanyl. I heard about somebody just a couple weeks ago in a college, something like that. And, just gone because it wasn't what they thought they were taking. And that's truly sad.
Yeah.
I think anytime life's cut short over something like that is definitely sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can't do that anymore. I mean, not like you should anyway, but just how quick, you can be gone from not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, in an instant.
Yeah, so I still do think about this. Like, what if it was the same? Would I want to do it? Without being a liar, the question would be yes, but would I do it? Hopefully the answer is no. Because life's really good right now.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do anything to bring that unpleasantry back.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you seem to me like you're the most healthy that I've ever witnessed.
Right.
Knowing you for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean that like physically necessarily, but I mean like emotionally and mentally. You just seem like, I don't know, like you're very solid. You get like a clear vision about life and stuff. And obviously, you're tumbling around, but everybody does, right?
Everybody tumbles.
Everybody tumbles and trips up and all that stuff. So
right.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. What else? Is there anything else that like nags you? Any nagging?
I didn't say nagging me, but I know that from the time I started watching it till I guess up until this year, man, porn was a big struggle for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
just like for a lot of people, man.
Just like the mental side of it. No, obviously, watching it doesn't do you any favors, but the mental side of it really, I still struggle with that. The mental part of it. it affects things in you because it's not good for you. It's
Yeah.
really bad for you.
Yeah, it really is.
People may
Especially-
laugh at that, and I'm totally okay with that if, everybody struggles with different things.
Yeah.
Like the way I look at alcohol, I don't struggle with that. But somebody may be tripping and falling to even get up in the morning because of it. But for me, like, porn was one of those things. By the grace of God, though, I can probably say this year has probably been the most successful year trying to get past that. I think when you're struggling with something, you will always in some form or fashion struggle with it, but there's,
probably.
as the kids say now, can't believe I say that, but there is levels to things. It's like, what level are you on? And I think I'm at a better level than I was even last year, and that pleases me to a degree. Like, I'd really love to get next year where we hadn't watched it all, and that to me would be just a full-blown success. But once again, progress is progress, and if I can think back only on one hand this year, how many times that I viewed, man, that's incredible to me.
That's good, man.
Yeah, and that's not tooting my own horn. That's just that's just awesome.
It's for anybody. Even if it wasn't you, it could be anybody. Somebody halfway across the world. It's just willpower and discipline and finding something, I don't know, better.
Yeah, because
to fill your time.
There was honestly a time where I didn't think that watching that was, affecting me or bad for me or wrong or whatever you want to call it, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But over time, you realize how that stuff affects you and how you view, maybe even how you view women or not.
Or relationships. Or
that is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the relationships.
It creates this false narrative and sometimes you can get sucked into that. Right? It's like a little kid who's watching like superhero movies, right? And they're, pretending they have a cape and they can fly, but they really can't. And this is a kid though, which is the difference. You're an adult. And so like you're watching it so much, it's integrated into your mind that like, oh, this is how it should be. And it's really not.
And even piggybacking off of your statement with that, about the superhero thing, like what if you have somebody who doesn't, have the best upbringing of that? You may get to be 15 or 16 and be like, I'm gonna grow up and be a superhero. Like I'm legit, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Because again, that's what you have seen and you think, oh, you can view that unhealthy too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty crazy thing. I have these new questions that I ask. Ask you.
Newbies.
Oh yeah.
I'm strong.
So, two other questions I usually ask people is like, if actually, you know what, I'm going to ask you one of the older questions just because I'm very
oldie
curious.
But goodie.
So, because obviously you had a lot of volatility in your past life. A lot of your addictive traits came from when you were in your youth, which you're young and you're wild, and a lot of people go through that. It's only natural.
It's no excuse though.
That's also true.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that might be a lack of guidance too sometimes, right? You're just like kind of walking around in life with no guiding light, so you just kind of do whatever.
Agree to disagree, but some yes, some no.
Yeah. But why do you agree to disagree? Just because I'm curious.
I don't know, because I had a good father. Like my mom obviously was out of the picture when I was very young at 12, right on that line of, going from a young boy to a teenager.
Yeah.
But my dad was great. So like that part leaves me scratching my head. It's like he was good. He tried really hard. He was present. He was loving. He was providing.
Right.
And I still managed to go down that path for a while.
Yeah.
Before I decided I'm not doing this. And I'm not trying to come off like I have it all figured out with that stuff now. Like,
right.
Still struggle mentally with that stuff. But it's like I had love. I had all those things. The only thing that happened was eventually, it worked itself out on that end.
Yeah. So I think in your case, that's a specific scenario where you did have good guidance because your dad was really great and a really good father and all that stuff, and helped kind of instill a lot of great morals and strengths in you. But I feel like people that aren't in your situation, there's a lot of they falter because they don't have the guidance, right?
That's true.
The parents don't have time to sit there and talk to them about what it's like to be a man or a woman,
right?
And what you should seek for in life, and what's unhealthy and what's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an epidemic in this country. There's so many broken homes and parents that just don't give a crap. And I feel like that definitely could lead into people just kind of going buck wild because they're trying to search for something. They're looking for some kind of surface material that they can't find, and they do it by any means.
And I feel like
that's an interesting point that the people that do have really great guiding lights and they still end up going down a path that's less than optimal for them.
A lot of people you think you're like, man, I was being a good parent, and then like you said, kids still get sucked into that life by just one person, one influential person coming in their life for the bad, not for the good.
Yeah.
And you spend these years just kind of walking around in a fog, and then once you're like, all right, my friends are having babies, some of my friends are getting married, like you find yourself kind of like, I'm not doing any of those things yet.
Yeah.
But I'm still walking around in this fog. Like,
well, but one thing I'd like to say on that specifically, though, is like just because your friends and everybody else is doing that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you should be doing.
No,
because
I 100% agree.
The beauty of like individualism is the fact that you have your own path. You don't have to go to college right out of high school. You don't have to get married by mid-20s. You don't have to have a kid by your late 20s. You don't have to buy that house with a white picket fence before 30. That's not like, you don't have to do that stuff. What you have to do is the things that make you happy if they be good and just and they don't hurt other people, and then maybe bring some value back to the world. That's my opinion based on that concept. But like so many people are just chasing after like what everybody else is doing.
No, that's fine.
Right? And if what they're doing is good and that's what you want, that's good too. But you have to make sure, like, is it really what you want, or is it just because like, oh, everybody's doing that? It's like, the whole is if everybody jumped off a bridge, would you jump too?
Well, you use that one a couple times over now. You must like that one.
Yeah, I mean, but it is true. It's a silly, like cheesy thing, but it's a real concept, man.
That's how a lot of people get involved in the wrong stuff, is because it's like, my friend is doing it, I shall do it.
Right. Yeah.
Or they're not doing it, so I'm not doing it. So people carry power, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Whether they know it or not.
Yeah, right. So if Matt's working on this thing right now. He's got it in the shed. It's a telephone time machine. You can pick it up. That's a really great idea, man. I feel like we should market that, man. We'd probably make millions of dollars off of it. Sell it to some movie studio so they can make a movie. Telephone time machine.
Yeah,
they
go
do
ahead,
movies.
patent it right away.
Yeah, right. They do movies where people go back in the past, but what if you could just talk? Well, actually, there probably is movies where you can talk to people in the past. I don't know. Anyways, we have a telephone time machine. Scott Lowery, Scotty Too Hottie, and if you could pick it up and call your past self, and a moment that you feel like thinking about it now that you would really love to talk to that young Scott.
Give me an age.
Well,
I'm very intrigued by that.
Well, I'm saying you pick the age, an age where you feel like the best time for you to get a phone call from your future self, giving you some advice, being that guiding light.
Okay.
What age would that be, and what do you say to this Scott?
I guess it's got to be 13 or 18, one.
13 or 18. Why those specific ages?
13, I'd say, because, again, that was when I was 12 in 97 was when I lost my mom. So going into that new year was obviously...
It was tough.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was tough, but it was also, it was new. More than anything, it was new. It was learning how to just live with my dad.
Yeah, and coping.
Well, that too, but also, we were in a new house, knew everything.
Wow.
So I would pick that age, definitely. And just steer clear of some folks. I know that may sound kind of crappy or not, but
no, I mean,
I think when you're that young, anybody who's nice to you, and I don't mean this as a slight that you should be rude or ugly to people, but anybody who's seems cool or you're nice to or anything like that, you may want to strike up a friendship with them. And sometimes that isn't always the best thing, and maybe I just hung around with too many people that influenced me, and that's not blaming them. And it's not necessarily blaming me, but it's like I would have rather had my eyes wide open, if that makes sense.
Yes.
18, I would pick 18 because you're just getting out of high school. Feel like there's a lot of freedom coming your way. I remember when I was 18, my dad was like, all right, well, you're 18 now. One of the things I griped about most from middle school on to the end of high school was my curfew. Always remember that.
Yeah.
Always.
What was your curfew?
Midnight. And
okay.
Looking back on that now, that seems very, very reasonable. Maybe even too much.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. And And I remember a lot of the shady stuff that happened in my life post high school happened after midnight. Most of the times. Sometimes it happened way before midnight. But I just remember that. I remember that well. And it probably not stay doing the same things that I was doing for so long. It's like, hey, man, stuff's been going on a while now. Where's that light bulb that's supposed to go on where things kind of change?
Yeah.
You know, those light bulbs didn't start flickering until after I was 25 in that regard. So
why do you think at 25 it started flickering?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I hear, you know, between the ages of 25 and 30, men especially finally start to grow up.
Right, yeah.
And become men or not.
Yeah.
So I think when those things were happening, that I was finally starting to, in some regards, get some of the picture, like a small piece of the picture.
That actually is interesting that you're saying that, because, you know, I don't know, like, if you knew this or not, but genetically they say, like, the experts say that you're as an adult human, your brain it's not fully mature
for men.
Yeah, until you're like mid-20s.
No, I was going to say even closer to 30, but that's...
Well, it's somewhere ballpark figure, like mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
It
I
is.
never knew that. I learned this like just a couple years ago, and I was like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense, and it's pretty crazy. And that's what they said. There's a statistic that goes along with it. It says like the divorce rate is like 50% in the country, and that 50%, 80% or 75%, it's a gaudy number, a huge number. Like the bulk of that 50% of divorcees and divorcees are people under the age of 25 and under. And I was like, what's the correlation there? And then you fast forward and I find out, and it's like, because they're still young, their brain is still developing. They don't know what they want. They're not fully mature yet, even though physically they're mature, sexually they're mature, whatever. But mentally, psychologically, they're not mature yet because their brain's still growing and developing. I was like, whoa, that's crazy, dude. It blew my mind. I was like one of those like, you know, the emoji explosion head moments for me. But okay, cool. In closing, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to wrap this thing up. What would you say if you'd like to share? Well, you've got to share. You're on my show. You do what I say. What is one of the saddest moments, if not the saddest moment in your life? And what is your takeaway from it? What did you learn from it? What do you take away? And then I'll ask you the second half part of this question.
Oh, man. Just 2016, rough year. Lost a friend of a friend who became a friend. Guy who, once again, was a young kid I saw growing up. He passed away. 2 people in January. I lost a really good friend in June. Life friend. Can't replace him.
Yeah.
Dad in December, and then a few weeks after that, my aunt through marriage.
Jeez.
So just and I was one of those folks who didn't deal with a lot of loss growing up.
Right.
I know my mom had passed, but you know, besides that, you know, there were people in my orbit that passed away. But that was just a really crazy year for me. Like, you know, people dropping like flies.
Yeah. I went to your dad's funeral, obviously.
Yeah.
And we didn't chat with you about it, but I didn't know that all those other things were happening too.
Yeah.
So, geez, man. My heart goes
some
out
of
to
them,
you, bro.
Some of them were natural causes, some of them weren't. You know, just a crazy year of people in your life, and then people are not in your life. A lot to process at once.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
A couple at the beginning, you know, 1 in the middle, and then 2 at the end. That's just it was weird. It was weird to process all that. Still hard to process.
Yeah. So what is one of your biggest takeaways from that? What did you learn from all that? What did you summarize it as?
Oh man, I don't even think I can summarize it to the degree I'd like. Honestly, I mean, cliche wise, life is very short, whether you realize it or not. Feels like I was just 21, having the time of my life, with no boundaries, no anything.
Yeah.
And here I am, 36, and just trying to do right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, the second half of this question is, what is one of the, if not the, happiest moments of your life? And what do you take away from that, sir?
Happiest moments. God, man. Happiness. Happiest moment. I feel like happiness is just an emotion, so I don't know about how.
How about joyous? I use that adjective.
Happiest moment of my life.
Or one of.
That's tough, man. I don't even know if I can answer that.
Well, I hope it's because there's so many happy points, and that's why you can't answer it. Not
I
because I
mean,
can't think of a happy moment.
It's not that there aren't happy moments. I guess I just. I don't know. That was an on the spot question. I don't really think I was ready for that.
Hey, this is what we do. This is the Wrestling Diaries, bro. Step up.
Happiest moments. Gosh, I don't know. I guess let me just say, I guess I'll go with, I've been at peace since I started my new job.
Okay.
I really enjoy what I do, and
that freedom you talked about.
Yeah, it's a very peaceful. I like being at peace.
Sure.
Happiness to me comes and goes,
Mm-hmm.
and sadness comes and goes. But
yeah,
to be at peace, like I'm very much at peace right now. So I guess I can say that there's been a lot of good moments over the last couple of years. My friend got married a couple of years ago, and that's not a discredit to him, but I really didn't think I would see that day, and that's not a slight at him. I just didn't think I would see the day, and I was really happy in that moment.
Yeah,
I was happy to be there and witness that. So I'll say that for now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Woo. I like that. Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Scott.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed it.
I hope you don't take this as an insult. I don't get the pleasure of getting to talk to you as much as I'd like. And sometimes I forget just how deep and complex of a person you are.
Oh, right? Go on. Toot, toot, beep, beep.
Stroking that ego. But I'm so glad you came on the show, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And pouring your soul out and intimate details about your life, personal lives. I appreciate you sharing that with me and sharing it with whoever, like just random strangers that don't even know you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. I'm going to, before I close out and bid everyone farewell, I want to share a story actually about between me and your dad, Mark.
Ah, yeah.
I might have told you the story. If I haven't, then if you're hearing it for the first time. But
it's a good one.
So, his dad was a meat cutter at Sam's Club. I worked in groceries with Scott, just doing the grocery thing. But I have to go back there sometimes to get like certain things for a member / customer, right? Don't call them customers. They have to pay a membership fee. Remember that being a big damn thing there. But I was going back there and I was like, dang, I don't have a jacket. I was like, so cold in there. And like, I would come out because I didn't have a jacket. I was wearing shorts and short sleeve. And I'm like, oh, rubbing my, and your dad's coming in. He's like, what the hell are you doing, man? You got ants in your pants? And I was like, no, man. I was like, I don't have a jacket, and I got to get this freaking thing, and I'm having to climb up there and sift through all these boxes. And he's like, oh, well, here, just take my jacket and stuff. And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, yeah, I'm not using it. I got this white coat for the meat cutting. And so I took his jacket, and it was this really cool, like, grayish, marbling, like kind of heathered gray, like jacket. It was like a military jacket. It had the popped collar and had all the pockets on it. And I love stuff like that, dude. I love like those utility looking jackets and stuff like that. And so I was using it, and I ended up getting whatever product it was I needed. And I came out and I was like, oh man, appreciate that, Mark. It was awesome. I was like, this kept me warm. I was like, this is a really badass jacket, man. Where'd you get this jacket?
Yeah.
And I don't remember where he told me he bought it or whatever. I was like, yeah, I just like it. I'm like weird. I love stuff with all the pockets.
Oh yeah.
I love how it has the collar that pops up. That's pretty cool. He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you like it? Here, take it.
Yeah.
He was just so nonchalant. He was like, here, take the jacket. And I thought it was a joke. And I was like, oh.
Thought he was ribbing you.
And he was like, no, you like the jacket? Yeah. Here, take it. I don't know where, I don't know if you can still find this jacket. I got it years ago or whatever. He's like, here, just have it. I got other jackets. And I was like, are you sure?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, take that jacket. He's like, I don't need it. And if you think it's cool, maybe the girls would think it's cool or whatever. And so he gave me his jacket.
Yeah.
It's a really cool jacket. And I wore it for years after that. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like the jacket. And I get compliments on it.
Cool.
And a friend of mine who was struggling for like a long time. He was in and out of like places to live and jobs and rotating door of relationships and all this stuff. Well, one of his low points in life, he was out on his own, and he didn't have a lot of stuff. He was very impoverished during that period.
Yeah.
And he saw me wearing this jacket, and he's like, oh man, that's a badass jacket. Where'd you get that? And I was like, oh, it's actually a really good friend of mine's dad that I worked with. He just gave me this jacket. It's a really cool jacket. He was, oh, it's a cool jacket, man. And I like later on I started asking him, I was like, hey, we were doing something, and it was cold. It was winter. And I was like, I was like, do you have anything to wear? He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm a big guy. I'll be fine. I was like, hey, man, just take this jacket.
Yeah.
And he wore it. And he's like, oh, man, it fits perfectly.
Same thing you said.
Yeah. And then he was going to give it back to me. And I was like, you like that jacket? He's like, yeah, it's a pretty cool jacket. And I was like, just keep it, man. It's yours.
Absolutely.
And so I
keep it going.
I think about that story like very often. I don't talk about it that much.
Yeah.
But
didn't he give you another one too? Or wasn't there a blue jean one with the eagle on the back? Or I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah,
okay.
It was just that like military jacket.
Gotcha.
I
know
always
which one
think
you're
about that
talking
story a lot. And every time I see my friend, he still has it. In the winter, I'll see him wearing that jacket. It makes me think of your dad.
That's cool.
So yeah, I just want to share that. It's a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, man.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, man. Anyway, you have anything else to say in signing off, man? Anything you'd like to tell all these impressionable minds out there listening?
I got nothing, honestly.
What if some kid out there, some young buck, right? They listen to this and they're like, man, I'm kind of doing that. Like what he dealt with, or I'm in that right now. What advice would you give them as like a grown man now to this young version of you who's out there listening to this? What would you say?
Put it under a magnifying scope and really dissect what you're doing at the time. I think that would have been a little bit better if I would have done that at times.
Just kind of thought about it more.
Yeah, I didn't know the Lord at all then either. I was just kind of...
So faith also.
Yeah, I mean, if, that's a big thing in my life now. It really is. But I would still put it under a magnifying scope and just, is this really me? Because there were a lot of times and a lot of situations where the stuff I was doing, it wasn't me in essence.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when I got to be around 25, I was like, oh, this really isn't me.
Yeah.
And you start to kind of, I don't want to say run the other way, but you kind of start, the slow step backwards. And then, so think about what you're doing.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being on the show, dude.
I enjoyed it.
Get you back again one day. And then we can actually drink beers together when you're not sick on it.
We will see.
Folks, you ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Wrestling Diaries proudly brings to you its tag team champions of the world, Mitchell, the man, the legend, the myth, Rulane. Scotty, too hottie with a naughty body. Lowery, the Sam's Club Outlaws.
You do put a nice spin on it.
I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Scott's a really great old friend of mine. I love this guy. He's a great kid. Check him out on social media, Scott Lowery. If you get a bunch of random messages, I apologize. You might not. Hopefully you don't. I hope you got something out of this episode. To check out our content, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts. For the video content, go to YouTube, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to keep updated with our content when we release it. We release once a week, the episodes, but on 2 different platforms, audio on Tuesdays, video on Wednesdays. Today's episode is really great. I love talking to old friends and they open up about like the things that they're struggling with and all that. And I feel like I learned a few new things about Scott that I actually never knew. Scott has dealt with a lot of tragedy and a lot of regret in his life, but he uses it as like fuel to just be this bigger, better person. And it's awesome. And he's constantly growing and evolving, but he'll always struggle with it. Just like he said, like you always like fight and wrestle with the things that you wrestle with. But I think the key there is that you always win, right? You always have to fight this enemy, but as long as you win, and that's the important part. And so like, what do you deal with in life? What do you wrestle with? And are you winning? Do you win the match? Do you get the 1, 2, 3? Do you get the tap out? Do you get the knockout? And if you don't, how can you? I think that's really important to think about. And maybe it's not. I'm just an average guy. I'm not a professional. I don't know. You listen to this and you make your own assessment about it. That's all I can say to you, in my opinion. And I appreciate Scott being on here. Thanks again, Scott.
Yes, sir.
What do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.